There we go. Starting.
All right, y'all, we're trying something a little different today. I'm coming at you here with Courtney from my living room, just because we're going to have a little bit more of a casual conversation today, just regarding stories, beliefs, and flipping the script. So before I get too far into the weeds, y'all probably heard a little bit about the secret word, and we will be sharing a secret word here shortly with you. As far as the secret word, you will go ahead and either email that to the email that I sent out to the larger group, or also just go ahead and DM me. But as you join us today, just let us know that you're ready to go ahead and flip the script on some stories and beliefs. And we're just excited to have here again as we continue pouring into you, understanding you, helping you understand that things can be different and that really none of this is your fault. So I would consider Courtney more of the kind of story and beliefs kind of expert when it comes to this today. But again, the intention is just really to have a casual conversation. A couple more housekeeping items. So the group will be open until Friday. At that point, actually Thursday, on that point, we will actually take down the videos. We will go ahead and refocus and pour into the community and those clients who have signed up for this time around. And then on Friday or later in the week, we will actually be archiving the group. So if you want to go ahead and get in the action, have some quick takeaways, as many of you have experienced in shifts, go ahead and you make sure that you watch those videos. So cool. Let's see. And the comments are down here. Hello from Valerie. Good to see you too, Valerie.
Congrats on your puppy.
Yeah, you're amazing. Man, yeah, I saw the puppy and all I can think about is I want to hold it. So
we're coming over. It's fine.
But yeah, thanks for joining us all. So, and again, as you watch a replay, go ahead and drop us a number 2?
No, Brandon said that's a terrible thing to say is drop a number 2. So just hashtag. I was like, what? And I was like, oh. So hashtag replay. If you have little kids, we don't want any number 2.
Okay.
Just a hashtag replay.
Awesome. Cool. So today we'll just start off with beliefs and stories and kind of how they're coming to be. But I'm curious, what do y'all think impacts your beliefs about yourself and your circumstances? So go ahead and drop that in. Oh, Valerie, we got an invitation from Valerie. But what are some of the things that y'all believe impact your beliefs and your stories? I think some of what comes to mind for me is history, and I shared with each of you yesterday a little post, I think it was yesterday, yeah, about geocaching. Well, I'm an avid geocacher, and of course, I have histories and stories when it comes to where you find them, and how you find them, and how people plant them. Well, that didn't serve me yesterday. In fact, my 5-year-old, who doesn't have the same history and stories, he was, more curious, and it opened up kind of his lens to look at things through, and he found the answer to the missing question. So I tried to make sure that I didn't feel, too ill-equipped in that moment, but what it helped me understand is that sometimes you have to ask questions and look at things a different way before you just know what the answer is. So sometimes those beliefs and stories don't serve us.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I think what we've seen, you guys, is that, and we hear it a lot right now in the group of like, oh, God, you guys were so good, and I had so many ahas, and this is amazing, and not like tooting our own horn, but then it's like, there's that little voice in your mind that's like, that just can't be right, though. Like, it cannot be that thing, because I've been told for my whole life that it was something else, and I had to do this, and that, like, it just can't be the thing, right? And so when we think about stories and identities, we all have them. We all have stories, we all have identities, we all have beliefs. 99% of us have no idea what we think, what we believe, or what we feel most of the time. And that's nothing wrong with us. It was just how you were raised, where you were raised, your conditions around food and body and life and expectation. Like, it created these stories inside of us. And until you start to like really go, what are my stories? What are my beliefs? What are my identities? It's really hard to shift. And so Jen had asked me earlier, she said, what's the thing that you think that I thought that I flipped for myself?
Right.
And so, you guys have heard my story. If you haven't, like, the backstory was 25 years of eating disorders or disordered eating, right? And so what really flipped for me was that I literally on a whim, you guys, joined a 10-month program, put down $12,000 I didn't have, and decided I was going to change my life. And I still, really in the back of my mind was like, but it's really about food in my body, right? I really still was like, if I could just get my body to look the way I want it to, everything is going to change. And so I took the leap of faith, not for myself. I'm going to be very clear. It was not for me. It was for my daughters. It was for the fact that I didn't want to pass it on. And again, that's why we do the P in purpose, is we've got to know that bigger reason, because sometimes just ourselves is not a big enough reason. But what I realized was that I had everything backwards. And that I was living in this like bubble that I had just grown up in, right? And so I really truly believed, and you might be in this place, and I think a lot of us are, if I can just get the external to change, I'm finally going to have the internal.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
I really thought, if I just have a six-pack and I didn't have any cellulite, I'm going to be the happiest person ever and life is going to be amazing. Well, that's not true. And here, Brandon asks this all the time. So shout out to Brandon, who's not here, but this is his question. You guys, if tomorrow you woke up and you had exactly what you desired physically, but you didn't feel any differently about your life or the way you look at yourself, would anything change? And the answer was no. And so for me, the belief was that the external would create the internal. And what I really realized was the internal had to create the external. So once I decided, I get to be happy. Right. I get to choose that, okay, I have cellulite. It doesn't define me. Move on with my life. It's still there, but my relationship with it changed. Once I decided that, my body did change, but the way I felt about it was completely different. So it's like, it's the when-then game. So it's understanding that the external is not what you desire. It's the internal that you desire, but you get to start there, and you just get to decide. Like, if you just want to be happier, you get to decide that. And I know that sounds like it's too easy, but it's part of it. But when the internal changes, the external will change, right? I have a six-pack now. And to say that out loud, you guys, is a big deal for me, because I would never say things like that. But, like, I can actually be like, wow, I can see it because I'm not in this, like, messed up mental state. But that was a big belief for me. So Jen, when you were making your shift from not really being an athlete, as you would say,
yeah,
into being an athlete, you had to have beliefs change.
I did. So I'll tell you kind of really what helped me to change those beliefs. So yes, all of you have heard probably my story. I think, and Courtney and I were chatting about this a little bit earlier today. Sometimes I receive feedback, right? Like, you're super fast. You're an athlete. You've been doing this your entire life. Like, you're, just amazing. And I'm like, you're talking about me? Because, like, this thing in here is sometimes not connected to this thing right here. And when that happens, it's really hard to take that feedback, right? So for me, a few things that worked, and understanding that I honestly believe that you develop your confidence through multiple aspects of your life. It's not just simply like, hey, I showed up to the gym and I ran a 6 mile an hour, mile, and all of a sudden I'm an athlete. But where do you draw that confidence from? What are the stories that you're telling yourself regarding that confidence? And so for me, one of the things to understand is, I had been through some things in my life, and, I haven't shared this story with you yet, but I used to sell books door to door. I can't imagine of a harder thing to have to do door to door, but my purpose was I needed to pay for college. Did I want to go sell books door to door and talk to strangers and do all these things? No, but I knew what I needed, and the end result was going to be. So that's one place of courage or empowerment that I take in my life. You probably have your own places of encouragement and empowerment. So as I consistently showed up to the gym, as I consistently kept telling myself about stories about my beliefs and other experiences I had, guess what? My confidence went up. I'm a big fan as well that the more you educate yourself and the more you understand a place of fear that you might be driving from, usually your confidence kind of goes up. So with that being said, am I an athlete? Yes, I'm an athlete. Did it take me a while to get here? It did. I've arrived. And I think my thing for you is, what are the stories and beliefs you're telling yourself? Because they will shape your future. Yeah. So what are you doing today to be the person you want to be tomorrow? And sometimes it is positive affirmation. So I'm a big fan, again, of you say it until you believe it and you own it. But you hold on to that story for a while until it clicks in. So So this is the great things about work, kind of doing this from home. I'm going to let Courtney kind of chat for a second. I got a dog knocking on my door, as weird as that sounds, so I'll be right back.
He's like, let me in. He tried to sit with me. He's adorable. But so this is what I want to talk about, guys. So there's something called BITFAR, right? So it's, if you picture a line, right, you have the B here, so beliefs, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, okay? So I want you guys to think of something that you desire, right? So let's just stick with, you want to make a change in your health or a change in your physical being, right? So you want this result, okay? And your whole life it's been drilled into you that there has to be a how, right? The how has to look like weight loss, or the how has to be, you got to fast from this time to this time, right? Like there's this action that you think you need to take. So what most people do is we decide what we want the result to be, sometimes from a place of fear, and then we start taking action, and we believe that this action, whether we know if it's going to work or not, but this action is going to get us where we want to go, right? And this is why you see people that can do a challenge, right? You can do something for 6 weeks, you can do something for 8 weeks, but then it always goes back, and we hear this like, oh, is this self-sabotage? I'm just not that motivated. I don't understand why this is not working. But what happens is that the magic is in the belief and the thought and the feeling, right? And so if you're taking action, but we had one of our first shifters, I'll tell her story really quick, because she was like, I've been on a million diets. And we're like, okay, when you started those diets, did you believe they were going to work? And she goes, no, of course they weren't going to work. Nothing had ever worked for me. I was doomed to stay this way. Of course they weren't going to work. Well, it doesn't matter if she had the best nutrition plan ever, and she was even taking the right actions. If she didn't believe it was going to work, it wasn't going to work, right? So there's a pendulum, right, of like, you can get this far away. I can't see my hands. You can get this far away, and then you're going to snap back, right? It's sort of that thermostat of like your comfort zone. So what we have to do is, I'm a huge believer in taking action. That's why our program, we teach nutrition, right? Because there is a piece of physiologically being the best version of yourself. But it's also understanding that then we have to understand, well, what are the thoughts and the feelings associated with food, with dieting, with all of those things? Because you have thoughts and feelings happening all the time, right? You're like, oh, I want to have a donut. And then the old story of like, if you have a donut, you're going to be fat. Or I used to eat donuts with my grandma. When I have a donut, it makes me happy, right? But if you don't know what the thoughts and the feelings are around anything you're doing in life, and this is way beyond, like, this is way more growth, you guys, like we're a growth company, not a nutrition company, is that like when you can see those thoughts and feelings, and then you can actually ask the questions of like, what is that underlying belief? That's when everything starts to change. And for me, it was the external. I had a very, very loving parents, amazing family, a very, very, very intelligent brother. Still do. He's still intelligent. He's still here. I have a. But I created the story and the identity that he was always going to be smarter than me. But I also thought the only way that I would be successful is if I was perfect. Hence I've got to have a six-pack and the perfect body. But what it really came down to is I took back the layers, right? First I decided, okay, the action I'm going to take has to be different. I'm going to do the internal work and not worry about the food. So I had to take different action to get a different result, because P.S., if you take the same action and you expect a different result, that's the actual definition of insanity.
You got to change things in order to get change? Okay, yes,
Weird.
Right.
But it's scary, and we get there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so we started down, and I remember my mentor saying, like, worthiness is a wound that, like, 99% of the world has, and especially women. And I was like, I don't have a worthiness wound. Like, I was confident. I was happy. I was those things, except for that little thing going on in the back of my mind about food in my body. And I was like, I don't have a worthiness wound. And I got deeper into it, and I was like, oh, I do. Like, it turned out I didn't ever believe that I could be first at anything, because my best friend was prettier than me, and my brother was smarter than me. None of those things were probably actually true, but I believed that. That was my identity. And so once I looked at the belief, and I just shined light on it, and I brought love to it. I didn't have to change it, and I didn't have to make my brother dumb and my best friend less pretty, and we're still friends, you guys. This is 40 years into this friendship. Like, I just had to shift what I looked at, and it was bringing love to it and believing and that, like, wow, I really am worth this. And understanding the thoughts and the feelings, and once I shined light on them, everything changed. And so that's what we want you guys to understand, is it's not this like battle, it's not a fight, it's just like when we look at the thoughts and the feelings, then you can shift everything. And I just did a live video on my own page about what you focus on expands. If you focus on how much you dislike your body, guess what you're going to get? A body you dislike.
Right. We also talk about losing things a lot. I
Yeah.
want to lose weight, right?
Yeah.
So what are you opening yourself up to receiving,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, again, focused on kind of the negative. And for me, I don't know about y'all, but it's extremely draining to think about the negative, repeat the same story, and then we end up in patterns like we find ourselves. Lower trust, lower confidence, and then we try the same thing, get the same result, and we end up on this hamster wheel. Welcome to the diet industry. That's where y'all have been for a long time, and that is why this is different. And again, we have lived this story. That is why we are sharing the power of stories and beliefs with you. So, are you going to flip the script, right? But going back to what you were saying, Courtney, it doesn't mean we have to minimize the people around us. In fact, we can actually take power from that and help us to get focus on expansion, get at what we want, not necessarily lose what's not serving us.
Yeah.
Was there anything else on the bit?
Well, I just want to say, like, when we talk about stories and identities, a lot of times we don't realize we have them, right? And there can be stories that serve us and stories that don't. But, like, I've worked with a lot of clients one-to-one, and for many of them, and this doesn't have to be your story, but for many of them, there was trauma. And they actually believed that they were a bigger human, they would be safer. And so they didn't know that that was their story. Like, subconsciously, they maybe knew, but they didn't know. And once they got to say, well, I am safe, and the things that happened to me in my past don't define me now, literally, like, without changing anything, they lost weight because they lost the emotional weight. And they lost that belief that they did know they were carrying around. And so stories and identities are kind of fun because you start to realize, like, these are the 3 questions, you guys. Is this real? Is this true? And is this mine? And 99% of the time, not true, not real, and definitely not yours. And you're like, okay. And we have a meditation. We had one of our shifters currently. It's a destroyer meditation. So it's destroying the parts of you that no longer serve you so that you can open up to the parts that you desire. And she was like, that was incredible. I feel so motivated. Like, why have I been dragging this box of junk that wasn't mine with me, right? Like, just set it down, leave it there, and write a new story. So, yeah. Other things?
Yeah. So I think, if I were to give you some actionable items out of this today. So introspection can be really hard. And I think that's really where the magic of shifts, having coaches who've done this with you, but also we have a group coaching. This isn't a PDF, y'all. We're not here to just say, watch this video, do this thing. It's not fun for us, and it's not going to get you where you want to go. But the power of seeing somebody else being coached and kind of taking in from that experience and then applying into your life can be super powerful. So yes, you do get, a weekly coaching session with us and with your group once a week.
Yep.
That's priceless. And yeah, we can teach you the nutrition and all those things, but that's not really where the magic happens. I've been chatting with a lot of y'all, and thank you for, again, kind of connecting with us. But when I'm speaking with you, you aren't sharing about calories and macros and all the things. You're talking about, whoa, I had this mind-blowing moment where it's, what do you mean I can liberate myself from the scale? What do you mean I can let go of that baggage? What do you mean if I focus on creation, then I don't have to have so much control? That is what y'all are saying back to us. It's resonating. So imagine if you took the last 3 days, right? We spent 3 days together, another day today, and you took that and multiplied it to get 90 days worth out of it. What do you think that would do for you? Because one of the things, and I kind of have a little bit of a whiteboard here for you, this is some of the things I've been hearing lately, and I just kind of wanted to share. So what are you choosing, right? Whoop, there we go.
I don't know if you can read it.
Yeah, so you have the talk track, right? So I can't do this. That's something I keep hearing. I can't do this. Well, why is that a belief of yours? Is it because you failed in the past? Guess what? That's how we grow, right? Can we shift that to, I deserve to do this? Mm-hmm. Not just for me, but also for and create the life that you can, make for you, and then I can figure it out. These over here, y'all, and you take a moment and read them, this is not what's going to serve you, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, these are the things that you can probably attach some words to it for you. Hopeless, defeated, overwhelmed, lost, all the things. We want to shift into here, right? I choose to be successful because you can be, right? So what if it is too hard? You've done hard things before, y'all. You're human. You're adults. Life isn't always great.
Yeah.
Okay? I will figure it out. Yes, you will. We figured it out for you. You want fast results? We can help you get there, right? And I have to take this, do this for myself. And I think that's one of the things that we talk a lot about parents is I can't give anymore. You know, I can't invest in myself because I have to give it all. Mm-hmm. Can you pour from an empty cup? Because I don't think most people can, right? So,
and if you think you are, you're not.
Right. So, you know, again, just sharing a little bit about the stories and flipping the script. For me, you know, again, one other thing I would recommend everybody do is just take an inventory and assessment of where you are right now in your stories and beliefs. Think about what is driving those, and then think about what are the action steps to get you there. And if you've had the same story and belief for 40 years, what's going to be different this time?
Mm-hmm. And I would say, you guys, that, like, this is what is happening thing for a lot of you. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I totally didn't know that was a thing. And then, like, you see the price or you see the time investment and you're like, I can't do that. And you do this and you're like, I can't do that. Like, I don't have the money. I can't do it. But, like, all those are our protectors. Time and money are the two biggest protectors of anything we have in our life, right? And so I want you to ask yourself, like, do you really not have the time? Because you can create time. I did a whole workshop on creating time, you guys. Time is an illusion. If you haven't read Einstein's, go read the book, The Big Leap. It will blow your mind. Time is an illusion. You have plenty of time. And money is a resource that is everywhere if you choose to see it differently, right? And so I want you guys to think about, is it really that you don't have time? Is it really that you don't have money? Or is it just that you're like, this is a little scary and it seems really different and I just don't know, right? Because fear, you guys, hides itself in ways of lack. I don't have time. I don't have money. It has nothing, not saying it couldn't be one of those things, but usually that's a protector, okay? When I joined my group, legit, 30 minutes before the call, I almost canceled because I was like, I know this is going to be expensive and there's like, I can't do it. I just know I can't do it. And I didn't. And Sam, the mentor of the program, who did not do sales calls, called me. And I was like, well, crap. I can't say no to her. And we had this amazing conversation. And I saw this glimpse. And I trusted her more than I trusted my own doubt. And that's, like, if there's anything we can get you guys to understand is, like, outsource your trust to us for a little while. Because we promise we won't lead you astray. And you guys, that day, that yes, changed my entire life. And that's all we desire for you guys, is to just see past those doubts and see past those fears and go, maybe I gotta try something different, right? And so this is what I would like to say. So if you think about that stuff and you're like, I don't know, I still think it's about my body, like, just get on the phone with me for 30 minutes. I'm not gonna talk you into the program, I'm not gonna do any of that stuff, but I will walk you through some really simple questions where you can see what's a little bit deeper that nobody's ever asked you those questions. And I don't care if you sign up, but if you have a breakthrough and you start to see the world differently, then we've served you, right? So if you have that voice of like, I want to do this, right? So there's resistance and dissidence. Resistance is, I know I need what's on the other side of that door, but I don't know if I'm ready to walk through it. Dissonance is like, heck no, that's not for me. Like, dissidence is like, no, I'm going to go diet, I'm going to go keto, and I'm going to intermittent fast, I'm going to do this for the next 30 years. That's amazing, go for it. Dissidence is like, you have that tug, you have that gut feeling. I'm a big gut feeling person. You have that gut feeling. If that's you, let's just have a phone call. We're not going to sell you, that's not us. But if you want to have a conversation and see if this makes sense and see if those really are protectors, reach out. We're happy to serve you, right? If you feel that maybe this is something for you, we want to walk you through those fears and those doubts and see if this makes sense for us.
Yeah. And if you're looking to take a step closer, again, Courtney and I are on this journey because we've been on this journey, right? And we know it can be different. And we want to get you there faster and healthier than really anybody else really could. So with that being said, we'll figure it out as far as payment plans goes. Yeah. But that means you first have to trust yourself and you have to invest in yourself and know that you deserve better.
Yeah. And if money is the option, we've come up with an in-house, $100 a week program. So if you need something, we're not a big corporation. We can have conversations. We can figure this out with you. So we've all been there where there wasn't the funds to do the things that we desired. So just reach out because we're willing to work with you. If you want to make a change, we're gonna make it happen for you guys. Yeah. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, and again, what are the stories and beliefs you're telling yourself, and are you ready to flip the script?
And what's the new story you want to write?
Pretty cool.
All right, guys. See you later.
All right.